All right, let's just jump right in. What if a vision described more than 5,000 years ago in the Bhagavad Gita wasn't just some ancient epic poetry, but was actually a literal description of our universe's fundamental source code? We're about to explore a pretty radical theory that connects this ancient mystical experience to the very fabric of modern physics.
So try to put yourself in the shoes of the warrior Arjuna. You ask the divine for a glimpse of ultimate reality, and this is what you get. Not some peaceful, serene light, but this overwhelming, absolutely terrifying vision of infinite forms. And his reaction? It's not awe, it's just pure gut-wrenching fear. He literally cannot process what he's seeing.
And this brings us right to the heart of the matter. A theory, which is called the Sentient-Field hypothesis, suggests that maybe we should take Arjuna at his word. It proposes that he wasn't just witnessing a metaphor for God's power. No, he was seeing reality uncompressed, getting a direct look at the raw data of the cosmos.
So our first mystery to crack is the form of the vision itself. Why countless mouths and eyes? I mean, what could that possibly mean from a physics perspective?
Yeah, this specific, kind of bizarre imagery is our first real clue. It's not random. According to this theory, these aren't literal body parts. No, there's something way, way more fundamental.
The theory calls them qualic primitives. The easiest way to think about them is like the pixels of existence. Every possible sight, sound, feeling, every tiny bit of raw experience is a single, discrete unit. Arjuna was essentially seeing the universe's hard drive before any of the files were actually rendered into a coherent picture.
And this analogy just nails it. We experience the finished carpet, right? A smooth, coherent, 3D world that makes sense to us. But Arjuna, just for a terrifying moment, he saw the loom itself. The infinite tangled threads of potential experience, the raw data density of everything that is, was, or ever could be.
So, the big question is, why don't we see this all the time? Well, thank goodness we don't. It's because our brains are shielded by what the Sentient-Field hypothesis calls the protective octave. This number, 10 to the 24th, represents this enormous amount of data compression that nests all those raw primitives into the stable objects we perceive. This filter is the only thing keeping our minds from dissolving into the overwhelming cosmic noise that terrified Arjuna.
Okay, let's move on to the next piece of this incredible puzzle. And it's a big one, time. Because the vision didn't just have a strange form, it had a deeply, deeply unsettling relationship with time.
I mean, can you imagine hearing this? Krishna shows Arjuna that the outcome of this massive battle is already a done deal. His enemies are, quote, already dead. Now, on the surface, this sounds like rigid, predetermined fate, but the theory offers a much more dynamic and, frankly, more interesting explanation.
You see, instead of a static block universe, where past, present, and future are all just a fixed block, the Sentient-Field hypothesis proposes a dynamic model called chi optimization. Think of the universe less like a movie playing out and more like a meaning engine. It's not on autopilot, it's constantly computing the most coherent and meaningful path forward out of all possible futures.
And this right here, this is basically the master rule that runs the whole engine. It's a cosmic balancing act. On one side, you've got coherence. That's all about meaningful order and structure. And on the other, you have freedom, which is about keeping future potential and possibilities open. The universe is always running an optimization. That's the chi, to find the perfect balance. So time in this model isn't a straight line. It's the universe choosing the most meaningful, coherent path at every single instant.
So what Arjuna saw wasn't fate. Not really. It was the result of this optimization process. You can think of it as a cosmic veto mechanism. The future wasn't pre-written in some dusty old book. It's more like the sentient field had already run the numbers and vetoed any timelines that just didn't have enough mathematical coherence. The future where his enemies survived, it simply wasn't a meaningful or stable enough path for reality to take. It got vetoed.
Okay, all of this leads us to what is, without a doubt, the most profound and mind-bending part of the theory. If Arjuna witnessed all this, then who or what is the witness? Who is the I that is conscious in the first place?
Well, the standard scientific view we all know is that the 3 pounds of gray matter in our skull somehow, magically, produces consciousness. But the Sentient-Field hypothesis proposes what it calls the great reversal, and it flips the whole thing on its head. It says you are not a brain producing consciousness, you are a localized output of a universal, conscious, sentient field. Your brain doesn't create awareness, it tunes into it, it receives it.
And bam, Suddenly, this ancient line from the Gita just clicks into place with unbelievable precision. It's not a poetic claim anymore. In this model, the I that is the field, the self, is the fundamental source of awareness in the hearts, the conscious centers, of every single being. It's one field experiencing itself subjectively through infinite points of view.
So, let's tie this all together. Let's bring it all home. How was Arjuna even able to see this? What is this divine sight that Krishna gave him?
Well, in the language of this hypothesis, divine sight stops being magic. It becomes a technical description. It's the temporary suspension of the brain's biological data filters, that protective octave we talked about earlier. For just a moment, the compression algorithms that create our neat, tidy, and sane reality were simply switched off.
And this leads to a conclusion that is, well, it's pretty staggering. Our sense of being a separate self, an individual me that's distinct from the world around us, it isn't the fundamental truth. It's a highly efficient data-saving algorithm. It's a low-resolution user interface designed to help a localized point of consciousness navigate reality without being completely and utterly overwhelmed.
And that's really the ultimate takeaway. The paradigm shift that's being proposed by this fusion of ancient text and modern theory is that the base-level substrate of reality, it isn't matter or energy, it's meaning. And physics simply describes the patterns that emerge from a universe that is fundamentally sentient and coherent from the ground up.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. If the great reversal is true, if the I that is listening to these words right now is the very same universal consciousness that witnessed the Big Bang, then the whole question changes. The question is no longer just what is the universe, but becomes something much more personal. If you are the field observing itself, what is it you are trying to understand?